Welcome to the Association 4.0 podcast, your association's no-fluff playbook to navigating and thriving in Industry 4.0 or the digital marketplace. Each week, we bring expert insights to help you and your association stay ahead of the curve.
Hello, my name is Sherry Budziak, and I am the host of this week's podcast. I'm here today with Bill Elliot. Bill is the president and CEO of the Wisconsin Hotel and Lodging Association. I'm so excited to have Bill here today to talk to us about his leadership during and post this pandemic. So thank you for joining us today, Bill, and I'm really excited to talk with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sherry. I'm excited to be here. It's been quite a year and a half in the hotel world, so I'm happy to share with you what I can.
That's great. So can you tell our audience a little bit about you and the organization?
Sure. I'll start with the organization. We're celebrating our 125th anniversary this year as a trade association for the hotel and lodging industry in Wisconsin. Right now, we're right around 500 members strong throughout the state, and we represent everything from the small cabins up on the lakes and up north Wisconsin to the huge hotel convention centers and everywhere in between. So we serve as the voice of the lodging industry, and we advocate on behalf of our members and try to help educate and give them the resources they need to run the best lodging facilities that they can. On the personal side, I have been in the association management world since about 2007. I actually started here with Wisconsin Hotel and Lodging Association as their membership person, and I left in 2011. And that's when I went on to get the executive level experience with an AMC, and I came back here to WHLA as their president and CEO. I guess it would have been June of last year, so right in the middle of the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was an interesting time to come back to the hotel lodging industry, but with all the dark days that we've had, I have to say it's been a very fun and rewarding experience, and I really enjoy being a part of this industry. So
that's great. Well, you got hit on both sides, from the association and the the meetings on both sides, right? Both for your members and yourselves. Kind of tell me a little bit about that experience. Like you said, obviously you kind of came in there right in the midst of everything that was going on. Tell us a little bit about maybe that experience and what's going on in the hotel industry right now.
Sure. Well, that experience certainly a very interesting one, and certainly one that I'd never want to live through again. But I was really lucky, I guess, that the way it timed out. In terms of coming in June, the hardest initial piece of the pandemic had been figured out, if you can call it that, by my predecessor, who came back as an interim CEO. So she had about 25 years of experience and was the perfect person to have kind of driving the ship at that point. She really helped our members understand things like the PPP and all of the type of aid that was available as that was getting released. Helped with the restrictions back when the state was shut down, and how did that apply to the lodging industry. So I was really lucky that we had somebody as skilled as her to lead that piece of it. Of course, it was still going on, and it's still going on today. A lot of what we do revolves around COVID right now, and the struggles our industry has had from it. But when I came in, I think things were starting to open up a little bit again, and businesses were starting to go back. The hotel community in Wisconsin and in the lodging industry was never shut down in terms of being because we were an essential business. So we were allowed to stay open, but that didn't mean people were traveling, right? I think if I remember correctly, our worst month was April of 2020, and our occupancy rates are around 19%, which is just unheard of in the hotel world, and you certainly can't sustain a business that way. So coming in, we just like every other association out there, I think we were really optimistic that things were turning around, that by fall we'd be getting back to normal again, and associations would be having their meetings, including us. We had our annual conference scheduled for November, and we wanted to show the world that we could safely meet and bring associations and businesses and everybody back together again. And that just didn't happen. Obviously, we all know what happened in the COVID story, and our main goal is to keep our clients and our staff safe. So we did decide that we had to cancel the November meeting, and we had a meeting in March instead. But that's just like every other association out there. It's a big part of what we do, is bringing people together and educating them and networking and all of the fun stuff that is a part of an annual meeting. So we as an association have gotten to ride the same roller coaster that other associations have. But then on top of that, our members are riding that along with us, because they're the ones that host so many of these events and so many of these association meetings. So it's certainly been interesting. I think things are getting better slowly, and maybe taking a slight little dip here with the Delta variant. But this summer we've seen very strong leisure travel, which quite honestly has kept the lights on for a lot of properties in Wisconsin. You look at areas like Door County or Minocqua or the North Woods of Wisconsin. They sometimes had record summers. They had a lot of demand for drivable vacations, and then as you can imagine, those hotels that really focus on the business traveler, that focus on association business or corporate business. Those are the ones that are still struggling and limping along today, oftentimes trying to find the leisure traveler to help fill some of those gaps. So, we're certainly not out of the woods yet. We don't project that we'll be back to 2019 numbers until 2024 at the earliest. So,
oh, wow.
We got a long ways to go. Well, the leisure travel really helped us out. There are a lot of hotels. I think the national number is more than 50% of revenue in the hotel business comes from business travel. So with business travel down as much as it is, to put that in context, we project we're losing more than $600 million this year in lost business travel compared to 2019. And that's about 2/3 of what we normally do. Usually it's just around $960 million in business travel. So that's a huge amount of revenue that's just vanished from our industry. But again, it's slowly creeping its way back up, and we're hopeful that as more people get vaccinated, as we work our way through it, that we'll see that business travel return again.
So tell me a little bit, Bill, about, obviously your industry kind of took this big hit early on. Did you do anything that, to kind of help the 500 members that you have, or change anything? You said you had to cancel your in-person meeting. Did you do any programs or anything, I'm assuming virtually? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. I think you'll find that you'll get a similar answer from me than you would from pretty much any other association executive you talk to. We did online webinars. We called it our In It Together program, and we did education around what was going on and what you can do to keep people safe. Things like the National American Hotel and Lodging Association partnered with all the states and some scientists and whatnot to put together a safe stay initiative. So we wanted to make sure people knew the proper procedures and cleaning and all that kind of stuff. So we tried to get as much information out to our members in any way that we could. So from our email blasts and newsletters to new webinars, we served as a resource to help people understand what was going on. We also did virtual town halls with legislative leaders, both at the federal level and at the state level, and those were well received too. We couldn't go to the Capitol and knock on doors, and it made it easier for people to be able to connect with their legislators. So that worked out well. We also took the opportunity to kind of just take a step back and look at some of our internal systems, and while things were a little bit different, how can we retool what we're doing to try to be more efficient and affect more change moving into the future. So in the back behind the scenes, we were working with new technologies and trying to just be more efficient with a smaller staff than we had before. So
yeah, that's great. I know as everybody was trying to shift and do things differently, it was taking a lot of staff time. So I think it was that opportunity of, we're not going to add staff, but how do we optimize what we currently have? So I guess that was an opportunity for everyone during these challenging times. So Bill, kind of how has this experience changed your thoughts, or has it changed your thoughts on the future of the association industry?
To be honest, I don't think it's changed my thoughts in a major way. I do think we're going to see more online education and some of these quick meetings, on Zoom, but especially for associations that are focused on networking, I think it's too hard to replicate online. I've pretty much all the association folks I talk to can't wait to get away from their Zoom screens and be back in a ballroom again and talking to people and having a beer and doing what we do when we're networking. So I don't think that this virtual world is going to replace that, but I do think there's going to be a lot more virtual options out there, and that's the major change that I see. But if anything, I think there's what I see anyway, there's a hunger or a pent up demand for more in-person events again, because people want to not only get back to a feeling of normalcy, but I think they also really the pandemic opened their eyes to how much they rely on their relationships and their associations to make the connections they need to be successful in their careers.
Yeah, sure. So do you see, I guess, any, for you, I mean, you talked a little bit about the, that we're all probably going to start doing more things virtual, but overall, do you see the association business model changing at all? Or do you think we'll feel like we can kind of go back to pandemic business models, or continue in that respect?
Yeah, I think they're going to be very similar to what we saw before. Besides things like webinars and more of these virtual roundtables and things like that, and even then, I don't know how big of a change that is compared to all the conference calls we were on before. Now it just has video with it. So I love listening to futurists, and I love talking about how things are changing. I'm a change-oriented person, but I really don't see the business model of associations changing all that dramatically. When I started in this business in 2007, I mean, all the talk was about how social media was gonna, change the association world, and how we weren't going to be relevant anymore, and all of that. And that obviously didn't play out. And I still think there's a really big role for associations as we move forward and as we come out of the pandemic. Especially trade associations like ours, where a big piece of what we do is advocacy work. That's just something that industries need. That they need to have a voice in the Capitol, and it's pretty hard to shake up that business model. So I don't see a major shift in the way associations function, but I'm sure there'll be folks that are retooling how they assess their membership dues, or how many revenue streams they're looking to get to help support the organization. Maybe some associations I know that have relied way too much on a single revenue stream, be it sponsorship revenue or membership dues. I think we'll all be looking at how we can make tweaks to to protect ourselves a little bit when different things pop up. But if I go back and look at this association or other associations I've managed before, they've all been feeling a major impact from the COVID pandemic. So I don't think that there's one key thing that we could have done differently that would have helped us get through this better. So yeah,
I think to your point though, we've, as all of us have been in this, industry for a while, that there's always been things, like you said, social media, right? And how is that going to impact the industry? I think the positive coming out of this is that it really accelerated a lot of change. Like, we talked a lot about, oh, how is this impacting our industry, or do we need to think about new diversifying revenue? Do we need to think about what members, our membership's going to look like in the future? And it really made everybody kind of get serious about those discussions and do something about it, right? Like, now we're having what I'll call blended meetings. So there is a virtual option for those that can't travel. So it's it forced us into that, and I see that as it was an opportunity to say, okay, we can actually do this and move on things quickly. I don't know, have you seen, what are your thoughts on kind of what opportunities you see coming out of this, either for your organization or for your industry?
Yeah, I think like you said, the virtual component of it is there, and the blended meetings and whatnot. And for our organization, I think we saw some change that will probably stick with, like our committees tend to meet a little bit more often than they did in the past, and it's not always in person the day before the board meeting like it always was before. Now we can hop on to a quick call, and we can get work done between board meetings, which is a little bit different for us. So there are certainly things like that I think will change. Another one that often escapes my mind, just because of the business model I'm used to, I guess, is the whole work from home aspect of what COVID has done to us. And for me, that's not a big deal, because because before I came here, I was running national associations and I was traveling so much. Like, I'm somebody that always has my laptop at home or in an airport or in a hotel room or wherever I'm at. So it just wasn't a big deal. But I know it's a big cultural shift for some associations, to not be in the office behind your desk talking to folks. And I think that is another change that we're going to see have long-lasting impact. I do think that you're going to see a lot of the flexible work environment, and maybe it's 2 days a week at home or 3 days a week at home, or whatever it may be, and that'll change in our association, and it'll change in other associations too. But at the end of the day, I don't think the core or the heart of our business model is going to change in terms of what we're delivering to our members, what our value proposition is for our members, and why we do what we do.
Yeah, for some organizations, I know they've the ability to work remote has also opened up an opportunity for them to hire folks that may not be right, within 30 minutes of the office, right? So it does give us that lens to kind of look at it and be able to recruit folks too. So I think that's another positive. So Bill, before a couple of questions before I leave you for today. I know you're really busy, so I don't want to keep you, but what are your thoughts on what leaders can do right now to position their organizations for success?
Well, I think at least for me, it's time to sit down and really do a strategic dive with our leadership. And again, that's more for me perhaps than others, but my guess is a lot of us have been treading water, or just trying to keep our heads above water as an association. So our strategic plans at least need some dusting off. Coming in when I did, it would have been nearly impossible to get a strategic plan put together. And it's one of my goals. I mean, as a leader, I'm somebody that uses a strategic plan as a roadmap for our association. It helps me understand exactly what it is that my board and my leadership wants out of the staff team. So I'm really excited to get going on that, and I think that it's probably relevant to say that most association execs are going to be taking a look at their strategic plans, what they need to do to refocus and reshape as we come out of this, and that's probably the number one thing. I also think that perhaps this is a part of some strategic plans, but how do we position ourselves right as we're coming out of this, as we're starting to meet in person again? We can kind of use this as an opportunity to inspire perhaps people that weren't active in the association world before. For me, it's going to hotels that haven't been a part of our organization and talk about the great work that we did during the pandemic and how we helped every hotel in Wisconsin keep their lights on, and we're very proud of that. So I think there's some opportunities there, but really I think it's kind of hitting the reset button. I think there's a lot of excitement that goes along with that, and there's also some nerves that go with that. What does the future look like for us? So I think that's a boat that most association executives are in right now.
Yeah. So I guess any final thoughts before we end for today?
Yeah, I think one thing I hate about talking about COVID so much is that it brings down the mood a little bit. But in the hospitality world, I just want to mention that we're such a resilient industry. When I was here years ago, when I started in 2007, I saw the big recession happen, and I saw what happened to our lodging community then. Back then, it was terrible. Now I call it devastation. But the fact is, if you walk into a property right now, and you go in for an association event or even for leisure travel, the people there almost always have a smile on, and they're welcoming guests from everywhere, and they're happy to be back to work. And I think that's what I really love about this industry, and I think that's hopefully what other association executives love about the in-person meeting experience is the service that you get, the warmth that you get when you're with everybody, and the service that we can deliver as a hotel industry. So I'm really excited to get back to our next conference. We're scheduling right now for November, and we're knee deep in planning for that. And I'm sure a lot of my counterparts are in the same boat, but really excited to see things start to pick up again in terms of association meetings.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can't wait to get back out there too. I think I will hopefully see you at WSAE at the end of October. So that'll be exciting to see everyone. So we're looking forward to that.
Can't wait.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Bill. I really appreciate your time and insights today.
Yeah, thank you, Sherry. Thanks for having me.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and discovered tips and information that will add value to your leadership style and your association. .org Source specializes in positioning teams for success with solutions for technology, strategy, and marketing. Please contact us at info@orgsource.com or visit www.orgsource.com to find out how to keep your organization on track to Association 4.0.